Welcome back to Ask the Educator, a podcast for all professionals involved in medical device processing and sponsored by Healthmark Industries. The education team here at Healthmark has 280 years of combined experience in areas ranging from sterile processing, endoscopy, OR, biomed, to hospital and industry leadership. Our goal is to leverage our collective experience to answer one of your questions each episode, giving you the practical tips you need to succeed in the evolving world of device processing. My name is Kevin Anderson, clinical educator here at Healthmark, and I will be your host. Let's get started. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Ask the Educator, the podcast here at Healthmark. This is Kevin Anderson, your host. And with me, I have Stephen Kovach again. We're going to sort of wrap up or do our 10th cleaning factor in this episode. And for this factor, we're going to discuss cleaning chemistries as one of these 10 factors of cleaning. So, Stephen, if you wouldn't mind, would you sort of introduce this idea of cleaning chemistries?
Sure, Kevin. I'm going to say out of all the factors, this is the one I keep learning more and more about every day, and it has a big impact on what we do. So cleaning chemistries, cleaning solutions, they're specifically based on what you're trying to clean and what's contaminated, what's trying to be removed. And it's very interesting. There's terms and different things you have to know, but overall the cleaning agents or chemistry or solutions, we want them non-abrasive, low foaming, free rinsing, rapid soil dispersion, non-toxic, of course, effective on all types of soil if you can make one that affects them all and have a good long shelf life. Cost effective, of course, to keep supply chain happy and keep the budget down, and that you can also monitor the effectiveness of their concentration and their useful life. But even with that, there are a lot of terms, and I think one of the first terms, so for us in sterile processing or medical device reprocessing, the cleaning solutions, we do want them biodegradable, but they're usually, I break them down into three of how I look at it. One, you can have a alkaline detergent, and that's used a lot in Europe. And with that, you might need a neutralizer. Then you have neutral detergents, and then you have cleaning solutions or detergents that are enzyme-based. But all of them have some common terms. I think one of the biggest ones is a surfactant. And I'm sure, Kevin, you've had every salesman pitching their cleaning solutions to you and telling you about different things. But did the term surfactant ever come up to you or something you had to look into to understand that cleaning solution?
Actually, now that you mention it, yeah, we were very familiar with surfactants in our department only because of the company Stryker had come out with one of the first known to me cleaning detergents that was surfactant based, meaning there were no enzymes in it. It was just simply a surfactant type of detergent. And so, yeah, we were familiar with it, but I don't think it's one of those things that people widely discuss. It's almost always we're talking about enzymatics and whether or not they're neutral or alkaline, because of the what you might run in the automated washer might be different than what you use at the decon sink, but surfactant is something I am a little more familiar with.
Well, I'm going to try to break it down this way, and the surfactant changes how water behaves, and that's what's very important. When you add the surfactant, the surface tension is reduced, and it's how water can spread out and wet a surface. And if you look at when you put a drop of water just on a flat surface, it sort of has a nice drop. But a surfactant causes the water to lose or reduce the surface tension, which makes it better for the chemicals in that to, as I say, penetrate or start working. It gives it the tension's reduced so it can spread out better. And I always think of sonic cleaning because you want a cleaning solution that reduces surface tension. And when you can reduce surface tension, you then can help cavitation work better. So surfactant is found in these cleaning solutions, and it's a very, very important term that people just need to understand and know how it works. And that's what's important because, we talked about water quality and pH and so on. I'm not here today to tell people which cleaning solution they should buy. That's up to the companies. They all got pluses and minuses. But there are different terms that people do need to understand when it comes to it. And, they have chelating agents and emulsifiers. And what do they do? How much do they put into it? That's what makes these cleaning chemistries so different is these formulations. And that to me is what people need to understand and really work with their cleaning solution companies. Does that make sense to you, Kevin?
Yeah, it does. And I want to stress too for people, we talked about soils, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a past episode already. And we assume, and reasonably so, that most of our soils are going to be blood-based or some sort of surgical soil, whether it's synovial fluid or fatty tissue or blood or what have you. But there are times when we're dealing with things like bone cement or even products like skin glue, like a Dermabond type of thing.
Yeah.
And what I'd like the audience to realize is that sometimes there are sort of detergents or maybe other solutions out there that are tempting to use on instrumentation, especially with these different soils, that you have to be careful of, because I remember one of our staff found something that actually worked to loosen up that Dermabond glue off of the instruments. But if you left that instrument in there for longer than like 10 minutes, the entire thing was just destroyed. And inevitably we'd find these instruments were, oftentimes destroyed. That being said, in this circumstances, it was oftentimes a cheap Adson forcep or whatever. But the point is, don't just go and find some solution that seems to work, even though there is nothing you're going to find in the IFU that says to use that solution.
Yeah.
There's got to be another process in place, whether it's a different, a solution that's mentioned in the IFU, or maybe you don't even use Dermabond with your surgical instruments like that. Stuff like that. Those are the things that we have to think about as well.
That's where you got to be the investigator. And here's the other concern. And I know we both work for HealthMark, but I really want people to understand this. Both of us have been in management positions, and it's very, very hard to compare company A to company B on its how well does it clean? Is there objective tests? They give you one white paper, another one. Well, I'm very proud to say this, that one, we don't sell detergents, but we know the impact that detergents have in making sure a device is clean and functional. Led by Ralph Basile and other people in the cleaning industry, Ralph's very active in ASTM. They have come up with tests now that users can help distinguish how well products clean in that. And they're objective tests. And there's something I think people or the profession should start looking into and asking companies, what are these ASTM tests? How did you perform with these tests? And now you can really compare one cleaning solution to the other. And the reason I bring this up, I think it was it's almost 10 years ago. And I'm going to send this article to you, Kevin. There was a peer-reviewed paper in Australia that compared cleaning chemistries that were sold there and ranked them from good to bad in many different categories.
Wow.
And after I read that, I'm going, man, some of these, I'm going to show being Catholic here, excuse me. Some of these I think were just holy water. They were like poorly rated in every category, and people are buying this stuff. And that's what's needed for us as a profession, objective tests. And ASTM is working towards that. And I think that's what I want people to get out of this talk right here, this general talk, is to do some of their own investigation and understand those cleaning chemistries, because we use enzymatics, but we know, in fact, enzymatics are adversely affected by high temperature. And if it gets too high, they begin to denature. And that's because they're animal enzymes and they just denature when they get over 40 degrees C. And then some enzymes, when it gets too cold, they get frozen and become deactivated. So how do you store them? Where do you store them? How do you mix them? How do you dilution? The chemistries now, it used to be 1 to 3 ounces. Now it's an eighth of an ounce to a half an ounce. How do you dilute it? They're very complex now, and it's not as easy as it used to be. And
I agree. And I think that we need to have some, like you said, maybe some objective testing. And we also have to have a little bit of an open mind about things. I think one of the things that we fall into, especially as a manager, we want to simplify processes and we want to act like there's always one detergent for everything. Well, maybe that's not the case. Maybe we need to be a little more flexible and a little more specific to what we're trying to clean and when we're trying to clean it, those types of things, and work on what is going to work the best, period,
That's true. So we didn't get really technical with people, but I'm glad you let me take this conversation to where we want to raise awareness of people. You alluded to it. Read the label. Know what that chemistry was that you used on the Durabond, and maybe it's only for a minute or two, and they let it soak for even 4 minutes or 5, and it ruined the instruments. You've got to know how it works and interacts, and ask the company who sells whatever, how do you get it off a stainless steel instrument or what, you know what I mean?
That's right.
You got to ask. You got to be that CSSI person, right? That investigator, right, Kevin?
That's right.
So, in the cleaning chemistries, you got to know your water and pH and temperature and how they interact. You got to put it all together and, know which enzymes, are you going to do low foaming or an alkaline in your washer. And it's very, very important. And if you get it wrong, you're going to have problems. And you don't want those problems. So hopefully we'll get people to start asking their cleaning chemistry companies some questions on how does it work and what tests have they done, independent to show, and to go from there. So
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to wrap it up for our audience. And I think we just need to, get better as an industry, understanding those chemistries, what they're there for, all of those things. And, as manufacturers, we got to do a better job of showing how our stuff performs and how to best use it, all of that stuff, be better educators and stewards of our products and things like that. So
one quick thing, Kevin, I'm the sterile processing professional or medical device reprocessing professional. Russ must remember they're the professional. They're under a lot of scrutiny from supply chain to buy this and that. So it's up to us also to educate the people who are telling us to buy these and say, this product doesn't work for everything. Just like you said, I can buy this, but I need something else because guess what? I have more orthopedic or I have more this or whatever it is. We have to educate the people who are telling us to buy it. And that's, I wanted to leave with that other point. Okay.
That's a great point. I'm glad you added it. Thanks again for joining me on these 10 Factor series. I really appreciate it. I think it's a great series and gives our audience a lot to think about.
Okay, Kevin. Take care, my friend.
All right. Just to recap this episode, Stephen Kovach and I discuss chemistries and how it is one of the 10 factors of cleaning. So here are a few important points to remember regarding your cleaning chemistries. 1, there are several different types like neutral or alkaline or even enzymatic or surfactant based. So you need to know what kind you are using and why. Secondly, Know the IFU of your chemistries and your devices so you can select the proper chemistry for the job. And lastly, cleaning solutions are not regulated by the FDA, so it is up to you to do your research. ASTM is developing ways to test these solutions, but until then, we need to do our best to educate ourselves and our teams on how to select and use the proper cleaning agent for the job. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this series on the 10 factors of cleaning. Please let us know what you thought about this series and if we missed any of the factors of cleaning that you think should be included. You can submit any feedback you may have at asktheeducator@hmark.com. All opinions expressed on this show are those of the presenters. Before using any medical device, it is important to review the device manufacturer's instructions for use.